That was the last one.
Wait a minute.
Well, I consider, honestly, I consider my last one sort of a throwaway anyway. Mine too.
That's gonna be, I thought. He would think it was water testing.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, well.
And he's a swimmer.
Oh, good. Well, you're not even gonna need cherry.
That's what I want to read.
I heard that.
There is a third tomorrow, you know.
I'm like,
I actually,
we found our guy.
I just went over, I had to
He's a
put this,
swimmer.
I had to put this notation next to his name.
Yeah, he's a swimmer. I'm like, we found our guy.
All right, we're about 1 minute from starting here.
Good.
You have the
2
one.
minutes from ending.
My
Sonny,
watch
you
says
have-
7
Good, we
o'clock.
have 2
One on the
minutes
wall.
remaining.
I got your amendment.
I better get my cell phone off.
Please do.
We must remember there's a hockey game on tonight.
We'll get out of here by 7:30. That's my prediction.
And so is Larry the Cable Guy.
I predict 7:30.
And you're on what, you're on?
I'll predict 7:30.
Can you wire Larry the Cable Guy into the viewfinder on my welding hood so I can maybe watch at least part of it?
Okay.
As he's working
don't
on
watch
the amusement park equipment.
Sonny, Jackie wanted to trade chairs with you tonight to get a little experience.
Have right at it. For me.
We'll just skip
Hey,
right
Sonny.
to that.
I don't dare
Yes.
watch that. It
Move for
reminds me of,
adjournment.
Ready to stand.
All right, I'm going to call the regular Public Health and
You're so
Safety
funny.
Committee of the Grand Traverse County Board of Commissioners to order. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Jackie, you call the roll, please.
So, Commissioner Gilman,
Here.
Inman,
Here.
Henschel.
Yes.
Lemkool.
Here.
Richardson,
Here.
Thomas,
Yep.
Max Bauer,
Here.
Please,
Present.
Wheelock.
Yes, ma'am. The first order of business will be the approval of the regular minutes of March 7th.
Motion to approve.
Support.
Motion by Limcool, supported by Henschel. Further discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, the next order, we have to have approval of the closed session minutes that were distributed this evening for also March 7th.
So move.
Second.
Motion by Henschel, supported by Inman. Further discussion?
Can I abstain from the last vote? I wasn't here.
For the
March 7th?
total minute, or the original minutes, or
It's gonna be both.
Both, I wasn't
She wasn't
here.
here.
Okay. So what you're asking is to back up?
I was trying to, and I wasn't, and I appreciate the fact that you have a hockey game coming, but, you know.
Chris and Larry both.
All right, so we need to back up and roll call the regular session minutes for March 7th as moved by Limcool,
Can I
supported by
abstain?
Henschel. She's going to do the roll call.
Yes, sir.
Okay, Commissioner Inman,
Yes.
Henschel.
Yes.
Lemkool,
Yes.
Richardson,
Yes.
Thomas,
Yep.
Max Bauer,
Abstain.
Please,
Abstain.
Wow.
All right, there's two of us.
Gilman,
Yes.
and Chairman Wheelock.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, now, the regular minutes, or the closed session minutes of March 7th was moved by Inman, supported by Richardson, moved by Richardson, second
supported
by Inman?
Yes.
Okay.
The other way. Yep.
Richardson and then Inman. Closed session.
Oh, it wasn't Henschel and Inman?
Richardson.
Oh, man, I'm
Richardson
forgetting.
Richardson and
All right.
Whatever. Somebody.
We'll teach her, yes.
Somewhere, somehow.
always moving.
She's always moving right along. She's always.
Roll call, please.
Here we go.
Okay,
Minutes.
Commissioner
I
Henschel,
wanna,
Yes.
Lemkool,
here, yes.
Richardson,
Yes.
Thomas,
He's adding it to the agenda.
Thomas,
Yes.
yes. Max Bauer,
Abstain.
Please,
Abstain.
Gilman,
Yes.
Inman,
Yes.
Wheelock.
Yes, ma'am.
We'll just need to indicate, Mr. Chairman, that was just an addition to the,
Right. It was added to the agenda.
yeah, as
Okay,
requested by the
this
chairman.
brings us to the first opportunity for public comment, and the clerk will read the rules for public comment, please.
Any person shall be permitted to address a meeting of the Board of Commissioners which is required to be open to the public under the provision of the Michigan Open Meetings Act. Public comment shall be carried out in accordance with the following board rules and procedures. Any person wishing to address the board shall state his or her name and address. No person shall be allowed to speak more than once on the same matter, excluding time needed to answer commissioners' questions, if any. The chairperson shall control the amount of time each person shall be allowed to speak, which shall not exceed 3 minutes. The chairperson may, at his or her discretion, extend the amount of time any person is allowed to speak. Public comment will be solicited during 2 public comment periods noted in Rule 5.4, Order of Business. However, public comment will generally be received at any time during the meeting regarding a specific topic currently under discussion by the board. Members of the public wishing to comment should raise their hand or pass a note to the clerk in order to be recognized, and shall not address the board until called upon by the chairperson.
Having heard the rules for public comment, is there anyone wishing to speak at this time? If you could come to the microphone, please identify yourself.
Good evening. My name is Barb Willing, and I'm placing my name in nomination for the clerk of Grand Traverse County. And the reason why I would like to address you this evening is because I would like you to reevaluate and go back and look at the actual wages and pay for the county clerk, not necessarily go over the whole budget, but the actual pay that you've authorized for the clerk. And my thinking is that we've had a clerk in this county for 30 years, and she has earned the $65,000 a year, which, you know, I'm sure she didn't start at $65,000 30 years ago. And this year we will definitely be having a new clerk in the county, hopefully me. But I would appreciate it if we could lower the pay and get a wage that's commensurate with a new employee, and I'm suggesting somewhere between $45,000 and $50,000. I would also suggest that the car allowance of $5,400 a year also be disallowed, as I don't know anybody in the private sector who has paid money to drive to work, back and forth to work. And if the clerk needs to use her car for travel within the county or to Lansing or whatever it is, then it should be a per diem reimbursement commensurate with what other employees in the county are getting. And that's all I have to say about it. But there was a few other things that I did notice in the budget that I don't want to really discuss right now. But basically, I'm thinking that a new clerk, a new employee of the county, if you will, shouldn't really be paid at the top pay that another county, especially when we're going through and looking for an interim administrator, or we're looking for an administrator. We would like to get the best administrator possible, and maybe some of that money could go to towards, you know, satisfying some of that pay, because I'm sure it's going to be at a pay increase. So I'm looking at $15,000 to $20,000 savings to the county if we lower the pay commensurate with a new employee with the county. And if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
What was the spelling on your last name?
Willing, W-I-L-L-I-N-G. Just remember, Barb is willing. No jokes.
All right, thanks.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else wishing to speak at this time? Public comment from the board? Seeing none. The approval of the agenda?
So
Are there
moved.
any additional items, Dean, other than the minutes that we took care of?
Nope. So moved.
Motion by Inman, supported by Richardson, to approve the agenda. Any further discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. We have no special order of business, which brings us to the consent calendar. Wait, Jackie.
The purpose of the consent calendar is to expedite business by grouping non-controversial items together to be dealt with by one commission motion without discussion. Any member of the commission, staff, or the public may ask that any item on the consent calendar be removed therefrom and placed elsewhere on the agenda for full discussion. Such requests will be automatically respected. If at any time it is not removed from the consent calendar, the action noted, receive and file, or approval is approved by a single committee action adopting the consent calendar. Receive and file. 1. Commission on Aging Monthly Report for February. 2. Veteran Services Monthly Report, February. 3, 2011 annual report for Grand Traverse Metro Fire. B, approval. 1, Grand Traverse Sheriff's Office, Northern Michigan Reciprocal Agreement Renewal. 2, resolution proclaiming the week of April 8th through the 14th as National Public Safety Telecommunicator Week in Grand Traverse County. 3, resolution proclaiming National County Government Month, April 2012, Healthy Counties, Healthy Families.
You've heard the consent calendar. Is there any item on the calendar that the audience wishes to pull? Any item that the board wishes to pull? Larry?
Just a clarification on item B, 2 and 3, the county commission did execute those proclamations at our last board meeting, and previous to that, they were approved at the committee level. What happened is that, looking back after the board meeting, what the staff did was they moved it from the consent calendar under the committee, and they put it under special orders of business, and then they listed it as a proclamation, not a resolution. So I just read the proclamation and just handed it out. So Bob Cooney felt more comfortable if, as he said, the committee of the whole can ratify the actions of the board, at any of our committee meetings. So he suggested that we get this on the agenda and just have the board ratify the action that we took at our board meeting. So if you approve this, it would be with the understanding that we would just be ratifying those 2 proclamations.
Motion to approve consent calendar.
Support.
Motion by Lemkool, supported by Thomas. Further discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Okay. Commissioner Lemkool,
Yes.
Richardson,
Yes.
Thomas,
Yep.
Max Bauer,
Yes.
Fleece,
Yes.
Gilman,
Yes.
Inman,
Yes.
Henschel.
Yes.
Chairman Wheelock.
Yes, ma'am. We've approved the consent calendar. We have no items removed from the consent calendar. That brings us to administration and HR. First up would be Jen in regard to the the county administrator search.
I shared with you the results from the first round interviews, and yes, it's open for discussion for you guys.
Ross?
I would move that we extend invitations for in-person interviews with candidates 1 through 6 on the list presented by Jen Seaman.
Second.
Second.
Okay, Jason?
I would prefer, personally, to see that extended to 8. Obviously, I have somebody at the 7th level who I'd like to see in there as well. The reason being, though, is that we do have, at number 8, we have at least 5 of the commissioners that are comfortable with that particular candidate, and by doing so, I think it would give us an opportunity to take another look at that person who, if we only went 6, we wouldn't have a chance.
Herb?
Yeah, I have a problem extending something to Hall when there's only 3 of us that are interested in him, trying to get the number of commissioners that are interested in. So, I'd like to see number 8 replaced with number 6 replaced with number 8.
Chris?
Needless to say, since Mr. Hall was my number 1 choice, I strongly disagree.
Well, I guess, from my perspective, go ahead, finish yours first.
I like the top 8 candidates. I'm willing to agree to Commissioner Richardson's motion.
Is yours the top 6? Okay.
Yeah, Commissioner Richardson did say the top 6. I'm reminded of when I was in grade school, and we were picking teams, and we would go out for recess. And there isn't anybody here that didn't go out for recess in grade school. You'd pick for talent. You wouldn't, and so I think Mr. Hall has talent, and geez, just, the fundamentals are the fundamentals. Please just give him a chance, and so I'm going to support this motion.
Yeah, 6 is fine with me.
Ross?
If I could just comment on my motion. The reason I chose 6 is because there's sort of a natural break in terms of the point system, because you have you know, the bottom four got 16, 16, 14, 13, and then there's a jump down, you know, down to 8 for the seventh and the eighth persons. And even though Mr. Hall only was voted for by 3 of the commissioners, for two of those commissioners, Hall was their first choice. And I think we, you know, certainly need to honor that, so.
Well, I guess my perspective when I looked at this was I would have chosen the top 5 and number 8 with the idea that if one of a candidate could not receive at least 4 commissioners' votes that they were in the top 5, they're probably not going to receive 5 commissioners' votes that they can get hired. You know, so if the majority of the commissioners felt that they were in the top 5, which would be numbers 1 through 5 and number 8, then I would interview those individuals. But that was the perspective I used when I looked at it, with the thought that if a person could only get 2 or 3 votes from commissioners to even be in the top 5, they're probably unlikely to get 5 votes to get hired. So I don't want to spend county money to bring them here and time and effort on their part and our part to interview them if there's not some potential that they're going to be hired.
Hear what they have to say.
Jason?
I would be comfortable with somewhat of a compromise, go with the top 6 and number 8. Even though Darnell, the number 7 spot, since even though he ranked higher, in my view, than the number 6 or the 8 person, it is just 2 of us who voted for him. But the number 8 spot is definitely, you know, a significant representation of the commissioners. And also the number 6 spot is significant in that it is the first choice of 2 of the commissioners. So we can't leave out number 6, period. I mean, there's no question about that. And I still think that we should be including number 8.
Dick?
The other night you asked for the top 5. You've got the top 5, and I won't go for any more. Flat out.
Larry?
Well, with the technical problems we had with the Skype interviews, I found that distracting, that some were by telephone, some were Skype. I think the Skype absolutely had an advantage. And I have to agree with Jason. What I would like to see is the first 6, obviously, and then 8 also included. And I think it's important. I don't think it's a matter of spending county money to bring somebody here. Interviews in person, when you can look a person in the eye and you can ask them questions. And I feel this is a very important, this is probably the most important decision the board's going to make for hopefully the next 10 years. And I would hope we would get a caliber of a person that matched Rothschild's and Dennis, a lawyer. And to leave somebody out just because we don't want to bring them here after the fiasco we had, and I'm not familiar with technical problems when it comes to Skype and that, but I know there's a distinct difference to watching TV and listening to the radio. And that's a proven fact. You know, TV ran all over radio, and there was a reason for that. So I'd like to see the motion amended per Gilman's suggestion that we include the first 6 plus number 8.
Ross?
I'm willing to amend my motion to that.
And I'm willing to amend the support.
Who was the second? Was Christine the second?
That was me.
Okay.
Larry?
Yeah, I'm fine with suggesting the top 6 and then going to 8, and then number 8. We had 7 interviewed last time when we interviewed for that Dennis eventually.
Lucky number.
Yeah. So we did 4 in one day and 3 in the other, and so that was a manageable number. 7 in one day would be a significant day for all of us, but if we can break them out in 2 days, it would be fine.
Rob?
Darnell had no Skype. Number 7 had no Skype, and number 8 did. And by Commissioner Fleece's argument that there was an advantage to having Skype.
Well, let's do 4 and 4. I'm fine with that. I'll take the time.
I guess, I just want to remind you that 'cause I did take notes who had Skype and who didn't, I was kind of the stickler on that one. So if you think Skype gave an advantage, then you would include number 7 so that he would have a fair chance.
What's your choice?
Motion's
All right, I have a motion on the floor to invite Benda, Johnson, Getz, Naftal, Hilliard, Hall, and Botdorf to do individual or face-to-face interviews.
Okay.
Any further discussion? Motion by Richardson, supported by Max Bauer. Roll call vote, please.
Richardson?
Yes.
Thomas?
Nope.
Max Bauer?
Yes.
Please?
Yes.
Gilman?
Yes.
Inman?
Yes.
Henschel?
Yeah.
Lemkool?
Yes.
Chairman Wheelock?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
One other question, if I could ask the chair to consider.
Yes.
The last time we had the administrator interview, we had a session where we brought the candidate in a day early, and they had some time with department heads and as an introduction, and they also had some time with community leaders and the general public, just for a general introduction. And just off the kind of cuff this morning, I was thinking if we did the same thing, if the county commission felt it was important to do it, I was thinking maybe we could schedule, as a part of the process of bringing them in, that we'd have maybe perhaps a 9 to noon meeting with department heads in terms of a general introduction of the candidates, and then they can go around and talk to the department heads if they wish, and they would be all invited into the training room, so they, they'd be all centralized, and then maybe from like 1:30 to 3:30 or whatever, or 4 or whatever, they can have a general introduction to community leaders and the public, and then they would have that night off, and the next 2 days we would do the interviews. So it's just a suggestion.
This is the board's decision.
Yes.
And initially, I think that we need to do the interviews, we need to have the discussions.
I agree.
And I do not want to bring in department heads at this particular point in time.
It was strictly a courtesy thing back then.
It's not their decision, it's ours.
I understand it, and quite frankly, they
And
reflect
I'll
on it.
tell you, if Dean and Jen see somebody, they're department heads, if they see somebody and they tell me, if the board agrees to do this, and they tell me that this is somebody who they think very highly of, it's going to weigh very heavily with me.
Mm-hmm.
If that's what you want to do,
the only reason I bring it up is that that's the process we had before, and that was also
I
the
didn't like
process
it then, and
that.
I still
I don't like
now,
it.
so-
It's our job.
Okay. All right.
When do we do a background check on these people?
Should have done that.
As soon as I would assume as soon as they agree to the interview.
Jen?
Background checks cost time and money, so we do not do that until it's the end of the process, really, in terms of if you got like the top 2 candidates or so, but I wouldn't recommend doing a background check now for 8 candidates.
Okay.
But if you've got 2 and you want to run, references and things like
Okay.
that,
All right.
but,
right.
narrow it down from there, but we don't run them on all the candidates.
Because last time, I think we asked the sheriff to do some in-depth investigation on the people, and they went and, checked their resources, and so I
Right.
just didn't know when we should be looking at that particular process.
Yeah.
Should do it after the
Bob?
Are we paying the expenses to bring these people?
Well, that's the next question I have.
Something
Or is
that
that
needs to be
Yet
discussed.
to be, okay, because if we are, I would suggest if we're buying plane tickets and stuff like that, then we should do a background check beforehand if the cost makes sense.
There isn't
I don't know.
time for one
We're going to
problem.
do that, hire the guy from Tinsley.
I think maybe we just do the background
Jen,
check.
do you want
with
to
the
comment on
person
that?
select.
No,
You see what I'm saying?
there's, on the agenda item, I did outline a few things that I would ask for, direction on tonight so that I could get going with scheduling. And these are all of the items that you guys are bringing up. So, date and times for the interviews, list of participants, and then the travel expenses. So, you are touching on all those areas. I think that that's really what we need, and we can get going, scheduling the interviews.
And I have
Ross first.
Either way.
I really have no, I just bring that up as, what we did last time, and that's what Benton County did, but I have no problem having them come in and do the interviews, and if the public or the department heads or the community leaders want to come in and listen to the interviews, and that would be their time too as well.
Ross?
Jen, is there time to schedule interviews for the last week of April?
Certainly. I think the week of the 23rd.
Right,
I
that's what I'm
think so.
talking about.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think so. I don't know what the candidates' availability is, but I think I will certainly call them tomorrow.
Okay.
So that would give them just
Yeah, we-
over 2 weeks.
We were looking for the week of the
I'm willing to
23rd.
make a motion on the travel expenses.
Okay, Ross?
I think we should either reimburse mileage or purchase airline tickets as necessary, or I guess reimburse the airline tickets would be the smart way to do it, and also reimburse, hotel costs for those who are out of town.
Rental car too?
I don't know,
If they're gonna
There
take an
is
airline
Beta.
ticket, they need a ride. He has some good, he
I'm
has some
dead
good
serious.
information.
I have a motion on the floor. Do I have a second?
What was the motion?
The motion
I'll
was,
support it.
motion was to cover travel expenses and motel room for the candidates coming in.
And that would include,
Airline tickets or mileage, whichever they choose.
okay,
Well, there's got to be some kind of criteria.
I'll support it for discussion.
okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
And then Rob?
Rob first.
Rob has some good
Just
stuff.
want to let everyone know, I talked to the manager of the American Inn, and they're willing to donate rooms for the purpose of these interviews.
Which is really cool.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah, great job for Rob.
Wow.
Good.
Why?
Why not?
He's a constituent who I touch base with every so often, and I mentioned the process to him, and he was willing, as a kind of a community gesture, the American will provide the rooms to save the county
not?
expense.
Nick's on my Facebook.
I'm impressed.
Okay.
Yeah. Nick Trahere.
All right, you guys in the press, pay attention.
Yeah.
So what about rental, I have a question on rental
Well, in that
cars.
case, I mean, if that's, go ahead, I'm sorry.
I guess Larry wanted to speak.
Yeah.
Yes, as far as the reimbursement on tickets or rooms or car rentals, if the county procures those items, number one, we would probably get a
Savings.
discount. It would cost us less. Plus, we don't have to pay the taxes.
True.
That's true.
And I think that we're the ones that
Yeah.
should do it rather than, because if somebody calls and
Right.
gets an airline ticket, they could be expensive. I think we need to procure them, and
Yeah, that's fine.
I was just, the only reason I didn't suggest that right off the bat is I didn't know how much trouble that would be in terms of Jen having to coordinate back and forth with the candidates, but
Dean?
Jen and I would also recommend that you consider a per diem for their meals and incidental expenses using, the same rates that the county uses, which are established by the
It's not a lot of
IRS.
money.
no, it's not a lot of money. Okay.
I
I
get
will,
real hungry if I only eat on what
It's
they pay.
if I can
currently
amend my
40.
motion to add in the per diem, and also that the county would provide rental cars as necessary at the county rental rate, which is pretty cheap. So.
Okay.
So we got mileage and mileage.
I'll support that. I'll support it.
Okay, is there any further discussion? And, I guess I have to leave it open, mileage or airline tickets, because some people don't like to fly.
Whatever's,
Well, some people are going to drive anyway, just because.
And, yeah, there's some of these that will drive. Chris?
I just have a question. Are we going to not include hotel rates? Because Commissioner Henschel has said that
It's
But
provided.
I
It's
think
donated.
if they're not willing to stay there and what
Then they
Commissioner
should pay
Hensel,
their own.
let them pay their own then.
All right.
that's fine. That's good.
And he understands that it might be a number of people.
8 or 7.
Seven.
So
Well,
multiple
actually, only
nights.
6. I don't think
Six.
Mr. Bautar, who lives in Groton, will probably.
Well, you're
hotel
right.
room.
You're right.
We can buy his lunch for him at least.
Yes, I don't think.
You know, we can upgrade his food.
All
Further
right.
discussion? Meaningful discussion? No. Okay.
Come
So,
on.
if I can paraphrase the motion by Richardson, supported by Fleece, to pay travel expenses, either airline or mileage, for the 7 candidates to come here for the interview process, and include per diem for meals during the process. And I'm assuming this is 2 days, correct? Are we?
I would do
No.
4-3. I'd say I'd do 4-3.
Whatever.
But yeah, but
I can certainly do it over 2 days if you'd like.
Well, we'll see what their schedule is.
well.
It'd probably be
you know
better
what?
than 7 in one day,
If you're
but
applying
it's
for a
up
job
to-
that pays this kind of salary, if you want the
Clear your
job, you'll be
calendar.
here when the schedule's available.
Yeah, I'd try to do 4 and then 3. That's what we did last time.
I don't have a problem doing all 7 in one day.
7's a long day.
I know.
Just
Could
put
be an hour and a
as
half long.
needed, or, I mean, just,
Yeah,
whatever.
I would like to try to do them in one day, and the second day is needed, and figured that we were talking 2 days maximum.
Are we including the rental car in that motion?
Yes,
or-
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Now, obviously, if they choose to bring their spouse, we're not paying their spouse or significant others, so.
And we're doing this at government rate, right? I mean, we're going to procure them.
Right, we'll take care of the procurement, because we should get a discount. Any further discussion? You're clear?
Yes.
Roll call, please.
Okay. Commissioner Thomas?
Yep.
Max Bauer?
Yes.
Fleece?
Yes.
Gilman?
Yes.
Indeman?
Yes.
Henschel?
Yes.
Lemkool?
Yep.
Richardson?
Yes.
Chairman Wheelock?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Chairman, can I clarify that the motion that just passed, that if Jen felt that we needed 2 days, and she would schedule 2 days?
Yeah.
One
Up to
day,
2 days.
one day,
1 day
2
or
days
2
as
days?
needed.
Okay, all right, okay. That'd be good.
What date are you looking at, Jen?
Week of the 23rd.
23rd?
Yeah, the week.
Yeah, I think it honestly might be easier for these candidates if they're flying in, if you did the interviews on Monday, because they could fly in Sunday,
Right.
have the interviews Monday.
Right.
In terms of taking days off work, that's initially kind of what I was thinking, but I'm certainly open to your availability that week. I don't know what,
I'm totally open.
everyone's pretty open.
Chris?
Well, I have a question for the board, not on travel expenses, but on the process. Are we, I understand that we're going to have public interviews, but at what point do we have one-on-one interviews?
There's never been a one-on-one interview.
Yeah, we will have the
Well,
candidates here and this board.
The
will
city
do it.
commission did that when they hired Mr. Byfoss, did they not? They had one?
They did, as part of the process, have
I guess I'm not in
one-on-one
favor of
interviews.
that. I'm in favor of just having the same question presented to all commissioners at the same time.
Jason?
Can we try to schedule it in such a way so that it's over before, say, 6 o'clock? I mean, the reason I say it is because on the 23rd, the Peninsula Community Library has an event. It's a very big deal, and I plan to attend that.
That would probably mean you start around, 8, to be honest, if you
But if we're
want to.
trying to do them all in one day, but if we
Correct.
could make it, over 2 days, it'd be far better for me, because
And that's staying on, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, Jason.
Well, no, it's just, Mondays being as difficult as they are already, for me personally, as far as the business, it is my
That's fine.
busiest day of the week, and then to have that, if we could compress it a
And
little
that
bit
might
during
be
the
the-
day.
We
Might
all
be the
have
re-
roosters, so 8 o'clock shouldn't be a
Yeah,
problem.
well, that might break it out in 2 days, but I have another question, Mr. Chairman.
Yes?
Could we have Jen pull out the original questions that we had from the consultant the last time and review those questions, and then we would just take a look at the questions, make sure everybody agrees with them before the candidates come in?
Well, we can certainly look at questions that we've used previously, or if commissioners have individual questions that they'd like to
Yeah.
ask.
I
all
do have
candidates.
individual questions. I don't care if I ask them publicly or privately, but I do have individual
Yeah.
questions.
Yeah, we want cool questions.
Absolutely,
also.
and but I think what's important is that
We
we
want cool
ask each of the candidates the same questions.
Fine,
That's the only thing that I would say about an interview process, is you need to ask
But-
the same questions of each candidate.
but who at number one isn't, if you're at number 8, who isn't going to listen to the first interview and then
This is not possible.
not have an answer by the 8th hour?
Just to voice a reason, 7
Thank you.
candidates, 1 day, I don't see how you're going to do that.
It's tight.
I mean, if you start at 8, you're only allowing
An hour.
an hour. Is that really enough time
Yeah.
to sit
No.
down with these
No.
folks?
No,
It's
I'd
not.
say spread them in 2 days.
I really,
you.
my suggestion, and I think Jen would agree, is that you really probably should
Take the
schedule them
time.
over 2 days.
That's what I'd like to see.
Good advice.
Besides that, children get bored after 3 or 4.
My problem is 8 to 5 is a half a day, so.
And, Mr. Chairman, I think, I believe we had the standard questions, and then if any other commissioner had any additional questions, they were allowed to ask them. So that would allow, like Commissioner Maxwell, to ask a question about perhaps
Got
the
several.
pool operations or whatever.
You're going to want to,
Fine.
oh, sorry.
Thus reinforcing Dean's suggestion of
rolling his
going for
eyes.
2 days.
Jen has the floor.
You'll just want to make sure you ask the candidates the same questions, though. So,
I
you know,
will.
and Chris has them. And Chris has given me some questions as well that I have typed up that I
Thank
have all
you.
yours. Yep.
Can we, at the
So-
next meeting, look at those questions and have them in the packet?
Yeah.
Would that be fair?
If you, next meeting, or if not
just
sooner,
be-
whenever you,
Okay.
in the packet would mean
want
I'd have to
to
get them together tomorrow.
We just,
Do we want to discuss those questions
I want to make
true.
sure everyone's
in the
comfortable with the
meeting?
question.
Then your candidates could access those questions.
Oh, yeah, we're live on TV.
Yeah, but hand out mine. I have, hand them
Just
out,
email them to us.
please.
Well, careful, because it's, yeah.
I think a window prior to the meeting
I'm gonna
with
ask
the
the questions.
questions
I don't
might not
care
be a
if
bad
they're
idea. In other
known in
words,
advance or not. I
tighten
don't
up
care.
the chance that that information is going to get out.
Yeah. Well, I think they have a preview of the questions just by virtue of the Skype stuff, but.
Okay.
All right.
Any other discussion? So I believe the consensus is that tentatively we're going to schedule interviews for 7 candidates on April 23rd and 24th. And if there's a problem with that, Jen will get to us.
Sounds good.
Any other discussion on that issue?
23rd is Monday.
Jen, do you have any other questions in regard to that process?
I guess just in terms of the interview questions, do you want me to just email the questions that I've received? I think actually Herb sent some, and Chris has sent some.
I will have a couple before.
Okay, or if you want to send them to me,
Yes,
I'd be more than happy
I
to
would
compile them
be-
all together
I think
and
that's
send them
Yeah,
out
that's
to
fine.
everybody.
That's good.
No, I guess in regard to comments earlier in department head situations, this is a county board decision. It's not, at some point when we've made our selection, that's the time to do the reception with the department heads in the community to introduce the new county administrator.
Fair enough.
I believe that's the case.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
The interview process will be public. The decisions and the discussion that we have will be public. I think that we need to make the decision, and then we do something as far as the reception, to introduce the new county administrator.
It's always
While
right
that
when we
will
agree.
happen sometime after the decision is
Right.
made of who we're going to hire.
Okay.
I guess one of the concerns that I've had in the past, that we seem to have department heads want to become part of our meeting, and they take time off from doing their duties. The instance was the Commission on Aging, when they pulled all their employees over and paid everybody time to be able to come and do it. I have a concern about that. I don't have a problem with them being here, but I have a concern about paying people time to be able to come in to attend a public meeting. I would encourage it, but I'm not sure we want to pay people to come in and be able to do that.
I'm not sure that we are in the position to make that decision. So, Larry?
I would probably have to agree with her, with the exception of,
Well,
The,
our administration is going to be here, and so, I mean,
with
Yeah, I
the
mean-
exception of Dean and Jen.
yeah. So-
I mean, I think they should be here, period.
But I mean, if somebody want to take a personal day and come in and watch it, I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah, somebody else,
Yeah,
right,
I'd
I
encourage
agree.
it.
Chris?
Well, I do think it's especially important, no offense, Dean, that Jen is here. There are some questions that we should not ask. And Jen needs to say, you can't ask that question.
Well, and there's
Yeah, but we know
probably, in
that
all
ahead of
honesty,
time.
We'll
Bob
clear that
will
ahead
be
of
here
time.
All
also.
right, I just wanted,
Yeah, but-
because I've been down this road in the private sector, and I just don't want to
Yeah,
goof.
And I believe Mr. Cooney will also be
yeah.
present.
All
That's just
right.
fine.
Right, yeah.
Okay.
Well, I assume we can ask for clarifications. If someone says red is blue, I'm going to say, what do you mean by that?
Absolutely, follow-up questions, yep.
Thank you.
You just have to be, yep. In terms of, a candidate says something and you want clarification, yep, that's a follow-up question, and you can do that. Yeah, certainly.
Will you have a long stick to?
I need a really long stick. Yeah, no.
If it's anything like when we used to have our kids, it was the look.
One final thing, Mr. Chairman. Of course, I've only been through one process with hiring a county administrator, and what we did the last time was, after we completed all the interviews, I think we were given a sheet, and we did the same thing like we did this time. We just picked our top candidate, 1, 2, everybody had a piece of paper, and they went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or whatever, and it was all sent around and tallied. I'm not saying we need to have an answer tonight, but the commission might want to think about how they might want to have a means of, commissioner consensus on, I don't want to use the consensus on Rob, but, how we might want to go out. Do we just make the motion, or do we just, everybody try to rank them and then give the results? I mean, just give some thought to that.
Well, and I'm not sure it's impossible, and I'm not saying that it will happen, but I'm not sure that it's not impossible, that we're not going to narrow it to 2 and want to do a second round of interviews.
Yeah. So just think about how we might want to do that.
I would hope that we can make the decision based on the information that we get on the 23rd and 24th, but,
Just think about the if we want to
like
do the
was said
tabulation or
earlier,
not.
this is a very important decision. It's going to affect this community for a long time.
Yeah, I just want to have everyone think about whether they want to do the same tabulation we did before, or do something different.
Okay. Any other discussion in regard to that?
Nope.
Moving on, the appointment of the acting health officer.
What we're asking here is, we need to appoint an interim health officer. Jerry Pugh has agreed to do that. He is currently the Director of Finance and Administrative Services for the Health Department, and he has graciously agreed to fill that void since Fred has retired. We can do that for a period of 6 months. We also need the board chairman to write a letter to the state regarding that appointment, and Jen has drafted that. So we're asking for your approval to appoint Jerry Pugh as the acting health officer for a period of no longer than 6 months. And it's outlined, we have already started the process to fill that vacant position. Hopefully we can do that here with everything else that we've got going on, and I do ask for your support with that.
I move that we appoint Jerry Pugh as acting health officer for a period of no longer than 6 months.
Second.
Motion by Thomas, supported by Fleece. Further discussion? Does this motion also include authorizing the chairman to sign the letter notifying the state of such action?
Okay, yeah, I see that. Yeah, sure. Can he write?
Thank you.
Well, we're going to let somebody else type it, because otherwise
can sign his name.
it'll be 20 pages long if we let Larry do it by himself.
There you go.
Further discussion?
Does this include a bump up in pay, the 4% pay increase?
Chairman pounding.
Yes, it would be in line with the county
That's what I'm
pay
thinking.
scale
Yeah.
system.
So I just want everybody to know that we're going to increase the pay for that 6 months for him also to take on this additional responsibilities.
Yes, but that's what you get when you draw the short straw.
It's the same
well.
thing. It's the same thing Edward and Dean, so.
Is there further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same.
So that can be ratified right now?
Yep.
All right.
And I just wanted to say, Jerry is here. When we asked him to do this, he did agree.
Congratulations on your
I don't
agent
think he
appointment.
gave it enough thought, but he did agree to do it, so,
Well,
thank
Do you
you.
know how that works, though, Dean?
A little bit.
You kind of caught up with that, right?
I have Jen to help me. I don't,
Sounds like a new,
I'm not
sounds like a new country
handing her
song.
over to Jerry.
Okay.
We're having too much fun.
That brings us to resident banking commissary services.
Yes, when we discussed this at Public Health and Safety last month, it may have been inferred that when we lost some cash in our corrections division, that was due to the software that we were using at the time, and I wanted to make this statement for the record. That was not the case. We talked about the loss of funds And we were also shortly thereafter talking about the vendor that was providing the software. And the loss of the funds was due to, we just didn't have the appropriate accounting procedures and controls in place at the time. It wasn't due to the software that we were using. We were using the Canteen Services banking software. We are now currently with Swanson. And I just wanted to publicly state for the record that that loss of funds was not due to the software. It was our accounting procedures. We have since, when we discovered that we had lost the funds, we sat down with the sheriff and my staff and the county treasurer, and we completely retooled those procedures, and they have worked effectively since they were implemented. And I did want the record to state that there should have been no connection made between the loss of the funds.
Canteen had no responsibility in the
right.
loss
That
of
is
funds that
correct.
we could not account for. Jason?
I just, this is one of those situations where we acted on bad information. And if we acted on bad information, perhaps we relook at it. My understanding was, and he sat in front of us and he said that we... Huh?
Was there, could you define bad information?
Well, that it was the software. I mean, that was the impression that we were getting, is that it was the software that was the problem. And so, where does that leave us? I mean, do we revisit this? Should we revisit this?
I would not recommend that. It wasn't a clear, there were some accounting issues with the software in regards to, we weren't able to reconcile the banking transactions. Canteen has since modified and upgraded their software. They offer some of those features now, and this is one of those areas where it's like technology. I mean, the software is constantly upgraded to offer more functionality, to be more user-friendly. The recommendation that we made last month to stay with Swanson, I still stand behind that. We have had another vendor since then come forward and suggest that we look at their software, the next time we do this. But I would not, I'm not recommending that we go back and revisit that. That is your option. But I'm in agreement with the action that was taken last
This was
month.
a one-year extension, correct? Or was it
3 years.
3 years? 3-year extension.
The
of
initial,
existing
when it was
contract.
bid out, the contract was written in such a way, and the resolution, that we had the option to renew for a subsequent 3-year period. And that was the action that the board took last month.
Larry?
For the new commissioners, regarding that disappearance of approximately $16,000, that was investigated by the Sheriff's Department, and the county requested state police investigate that, which they did. And to my recollection, they forwarded their findings to the prosecutor's office, and there wasn't a determination made to where they could charge anybody with that crime. The evidence wasn't strong enough. So if we went to revisit it, it's kind of like beating a dead horse, if you will.
Well, there was a lot of issues in regard to the money, how much of it, how much there really truly was, and where it could have possibly went, and there was a number of issues, all of which, as Dean mentioned, have been corrected by the county treasurer, the finance department, the sheriff, and the jail administrator sitting down and putting together appropriate steps for every piece of it.
My only point is really just, and I'm fine with staying with the decision, that may have or may not have changed my mind knowing that difference. But the thing is, I think it's really important that going forward, when we're presented something from a department, put it all on the table. I want to hear it all. I don't want to have anything left out, or I don't want to have any omission. I don't want to be accused later on of making a bad decision when I've only made a decision based on what's been presented. So that's the only thing that I'm concerned about.
Jason, and at least in my perspective, of course, I was around the block once, so I did not pick up on any inference that Canteen had any fault with the money that was lost.
Yeah,
You know,
I didn't
maybe you
either.
did. I did not
I didn't pick it up.
pick up on any inference that they were involved in that issue. I simply had it two separate issues, so I didn't think there was a thing. Chris?
Well, I agree with you. I didn't have that perception at all, but I've been a commissioner a little longer than Commissioner Gilman has, and that, and his information may very well be,
I agree.
More
I went
limited
back and
than
watched
mine.
the tape, and that was exactly the impression I got.
Yeah.
When, if it didn't have anything to do with the software, why would Buck bring it up? That's a totally separate issue, like you said. And he's the one that brought it up when he was recommending this software and not Canteen's. And so my only impression, I never read the paper until I became a commissioner.
somebody that's been sitting here
I didn't know what
very
happened.
long.
But I guess in regards to the actual issue of do we go out for bids with this or not, because it's supposedly a cost neutral to the county, it's not. If you look at how the program works, what this is a commissary program where if somebody goes to jail, their family and friends can come in and put money into an account for them where they can buy soap, a toothbrush, a candy bar, whatever they allow. And the profit from that is put into a special account that statutorily by state law can only be used to purchase certain things in the jail that improve the quality of life, such as TVs and, things that we would have anyways. We would buy them anyways, just because it would be a normal part of the budget. But because we have these funds separate, these items are not coming out of the general fund. And so I think we really need to look at it as general fund dollars and do the best to get the best deal for the dollar. I'm not going to recommend we revisit it, but I can tell you right now, if I knew a month ago what I know right now, I would not have voted to go ahead with renewing this. Because, I went and did a little more fact searching, and, we just came back from NACO, we had that storm, we didn't have a whole lot of time to really dig into our agenda the way we normally would have, but, it's taxpayer dollars one way or the other.
Further discussion? Okay, this item was for information only. You've gotten it. We have no unfinished business. We have no new business. Brings us to the second opportunity for public comment. Seeing none. Commissioner committee reports. Anyone have anything they want to add? Herb?
Yeah, I just got an email saying that they were going to go out for bids for dam removal for Brown Bridge Dam. So that they're looking for contractors that are interested, and there's a timeline to go through and to look at the different contractors and find a one that's going to be doing that. So that's going out for public.
So that's an RFQ then, they're going out for qualifications, I guess.
I don't know if it's qualifications. It's part of the qualifications and a bid, I think.
And a bid.
Yeah. So are you getting the information from from the Conservation Resource Alliance?
Actually, no.
Dean, would you
I
make
will,
sure that all
yes.
commissioners get that information?
Do that.
I don't know if we have to sign up for it or if we just start passing it on. I think everybody should be getting that. That's quite
I think I
a,
get it about 3 different directions. So.
yeah, I just get it one, so.
Is
yeah.
there any other commissioner comments?
I may, but I just,
Larry?
it might be.
I think the board should thank Dean and Jen for the excellent job they've done since we've had them in their interim positions there, and the work Jen's doing on this hiring process, plus now on the health department.
I'll second
I think
that.
they've done a really good job.
Yep.
Thank you.
We appreciate everything. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank
Chris?
Well, on that note, we said originally when we started this that the two of you, if you needed additional help, that you need to ask for it, and I've not seen any additional help in either one of your departments, and that concerns me. And I just wanted, well...
Great job.
Yeah, but I've driven by here. I live a lot closer than than any of you, and I've driven by here a number of times, and I've seen lights on, and I know whose lights they are, and I just want to express my concern that you can't do it all by yourself. So please ask for help if you need it.
I think we ought to do something special for their spouses. They're the ones that are putting up with it.
There you go. Perfect. We can send Dean's wife and Jim's husband out to dinner.
No.
All right. Well,
That's two of us. It's like, oh,
all right. And I'm sure that we're all completely aware, and we certainly do appreciate the help of all of the staff.
Well, I
in
just
this
want you guys to
transition
ask for
period.
help
And
if you need it.
You know, again, if you need anything, holler. Any other commissioner comments? Dick?
Yeah, we had a second work/study session at the BPW today. And for the first time in years, it's really seems like we might be going somewhere. I don't have anything to report yet because everything is just recommendations for the BPW, but they are going to try to move ahead with a public hearing to have, raise the rates on the price of grease. And it's getting them moving, and it was a long, tedious meeting, but it was worthwhile.
Oh, and there's a special Brownfield meeting tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock.
Won't be here.
Any other comments? No. Okay, we have no need for a closed session. I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Aye.
Done.
Good meeting, Sonny.
Inman and Richardson.